Imagine yourself a soldier, somewhere in the heart of a medieval winter. You are standing guard on a wooden palisade, the rough-hewn timber cold against your gloved hands. There are no city lights to dim their brilliance, only the soft, silver glow of a crescent moon hanging low on the horizon. You pull your woolen cloak tighter around your shoulders. The air is so cold, it feels sharp in your lungs, and with every exhale, you see a plume of white vapor billow out before you, catching the faint moonlight before disappearing into the darkness. Your breath is the only thing that seems to move in this frozen world. All around you, the landscape is blanketed in a thick layer of pristine snow, muffling every sound. The trees in the nearby forest stand like silent, skeletal sentinels, their branches heavy with white. The silence is profound, almost a physical presence. You can hear the faint, rhythmic crunch of your own boots on the packed snow of the walkway as you shift your weight from one foot to the other, trying to keep the blood flowing. You can hear the gentle whisper of the wind as it snakes its way through the cracks in the wooden wall, a low, mournful sigh that seems to carry the chill of the mountains with it. There is no bird song, no rustle of leaves, just the deep, quiet hum of the winter night. From this vantage point, you can see the camp spread out below. The fires have been banked for the night, their once roaring flames now reduced to glowing embers that pulse with a soft, orange light, like sleeping hearts. Tents, made of heavy canvas and animal hides, are dark and still, their occupants huddled together for warmth, lost in dreams of warmer days and distant homes. Smoke curls lazily from the top of a few tents, a thin gray ribbon against the dark sky, carrying the faint, reassuring scent of wood smoke and hearth. For a soldier like you, the battle is not always fought with sword and shield on a chaotic field. Often, the greater struggle is this: the quiet, patient endurance of a long, cold night. Surviving until dawn is its own kind of victory. It requires a different kind of strength, a stillness of mind, and a deep well of resilience. The enemy tonight is not an army, but the relentless seeping cold that seeks to find every gap in your clothing, every exposed piece of skin. It's a battle of attrition, won not by aggression, but by quiet perseverance. So you stand your post, a solitary figure against the immense backdrop of the winter wilderness. You let your gaze wander across the snow-covered fields, where the moonlight casts long, distorted shadows that dance and shift with the passing clouds. The world feels ancient and timeless, as if it has been this way forever and will remain so long after you are gone. There is a strange beauty in this desolation, a peacefulness in the stark, monochromatic landscape. You focus on your breathing, letting the rhythm of it ground you in the present moment. Inhale the crisp, clean air, feeling the cold tingle in your nostrils. Exhale slowly, watching your breath become a part of the night. Each breath is an anchor, a quiet affirmation that you are here, you are alive, you are enduring. The cold is a constant companion, but it is not an enemy to be fought with anger. Instead, you accept its presence, you respect its power, and you find your warmth from within. Your mind begins to drift, not to the worries of tomorrow's march or the memories of past conflicts, but to simpler things. You think of the taste of the warm stew you had for supper, the feeling of the fire on your face as you sat with your comrades, sharing stories in low voices. You think of the weight of the blanket you'll crawl under when your watch is over, the promise of a few hours of precious, dreamless sleep. These small comforts become monumental in a world stripped down to its bare essentials. The silence is broken by a distant sound, the hoot of an owl, a lonely, echoing call that travels far on the still night air. It's a reminder that you are not entirely alone. The forest is alive with its own secret life. Creatures adapted to this harsh environment, moving silently through the shadows. The sound is not jarring. It blends into the tapestry of the night, a single perfect note in a grand, silent symphony. You let your eyelids grow heavy for a moment, not with sleep, but with a deep sense of calm. The cold no longer feels like an assault, but like a gentle embrace. It wraps around you, hushing the noise of the world, hushing the noise in your mind, all the complexities of life, the ambitions, the fears, the regrets, they all seem to fade away out here, under the watchful eyes of the stars. All that matters is the present moment, this breath and the next. As you stand here, a guardian of the sleeping camp, you become a part of the night itself. Your stillness mirrors the stillness of the snow-covered ground. Your quiet breathing mimics the gentle sigh of the wind. You are a point of consciousness in a vast, sleeping world. There is no need for thought, no need for struggle. There is only the need to be, to exist in this peaceful, frozen moment in time. The moonlight begins to soften as a thin veil of clouds drifts across the sky, diffusing the starlight into a gentle, ethereal glow. The world becomes even softer, its sharp edges blurred. The snow seems to glow with its own inner light. It's a magical transformation, a quiet spectacle just for you. Let this feeling of deep, quiet peace wash over you now. Just like the soldier, you can find strength in stillness. You can find comfort in the quiet. Let the worries of your day fall away like snow from a branch. Let the noise of your world be muffled, silenced by this imaginary blanket of winter white. Feel the gentle cold of the night air and imagine the warmth you hold within. Your bed is your own warm tent, a safe haven from the world outside. Your blankets are your woolen cloak, protecting you and keeping you safe. There are no battles to fight, no watch to stand. There is only the journey into sleep, a peaceful surrender to the quiet of the night. Each breath in is a wave of calm, and each breath out is a release of tension. Your body grows heavy, sinking comfortably into your bed. Your mind grows quiet, letting go of all the thoughts that race through it. There is nothing to do, nowhere to go. There is only here and now, and the gentle pull of sleep. Like the soldier finding peace in the vastness of the winter night, you can find your own peace in the stillness of your room. It asks nothing of you but to let go, so let go. Let the story of the soldier fade into the background, leaving behind only the feeling of profound calm, of deep, quiet endurance. Let the silence of the medieval winter fill your mind and allow yourself to drift peacefully and effortlessly into a deep and restorative sleep. Good night. Good evening and welcome. Find a comfortable spot, let your body relax, and allow your mind to drift back in time with me. Tonight, we're journeying to an age of stone castles and flickering firelight, a time when the world was quieter and the nights were much, much darker. Imagine a soldier, not on a battlefield, but at the end of a long day's march. The sun has set. He finds a place to rest, perhaps near the low-burning embers of a shared campfire. The first thing he feels against his skin isn't armor, but a simple, coarse layer of linen. It's been with him all day, absorbing the sweat and toil of the march. But now, in the cool air, it feels surprisingly fresh. Over that, he wears a tunic of thick, heavy wool. Each fiber traps a tiny pocket of air, warmed by his own body heat, creating a personal shield against the encroaching cold. As he settles down, he pulls the woolen fabric closer, feeling that gentle, stored warmth begin to spread. And then there's the leather, his boots, his belt, perhaps a hardened jerkin worn for protection. At night, these pieces are unlaced and loosened. The stiff leather, molded to his shape through weeks of wear, now serves a different purpose. It's a barrier against the damp ground, a windbreak against the drafts that snake through the camp. He might use his leather satchel as a pillow. The familiar scent of cured hide a strange but comforting perfume in the night air. Finally, the cloak. This is his blanket, his shelter, his portable home. Made of the heaviest wool, it's a vast expanse of fabric that he can wrap around himself completely. He draws it over his head, and the sounds of the camp, the soft murmur of other sleeping men, the crackle of the fire, the distant hoot of an owl become muffled and distant. Under the weight of the cloak, a sense of security descends. It's a heavy, reassuring pressure, a man-made cocoon. In this simple act of layering linen, wool, leather, and cloak, he finds not just warmth, but peace. He isn't alone. Around him, his companions do the same, their bundled forms creating a small community of shared stillness. They huddle together not just for heat, but for the unspoken comfort of presence. The collective warmth of their bodies, each wrapped in their own layers, creates a small pocket of survivable climate in the vast, cold darkness. Their slow, synchronized breathing becomes a quiet rhythm, a lullaby of exhausted camaraderie. This is how they find rest, not in soft beds, but in the trusted embrace of heavy fabric and shared humanity, drifting off to sleep under a blanket of stars. Let's leave the soldiers to their rest and journey to a nearby village nestled in a valley. The houses are made of timber and wattleland daub, their thatched roofs looking like soft, sleeping beasts in the moonlight. Smoke curls lazily from a few chimneys, the last vestiges of evening hearth fires. The only light comes from the moon and the soft golden glow spilling from the windows of the village bakery. Inside, the baker is finishing his day, or rather, starting his night. His work begins when everyone else's ends. The air in the bakery is thick with the most wonderful smells: yeast, warm flour, and a hint of honey. A massive brick oven dominates one wall, its stone mouth still radiating a deep, gentle heat from the day's baking. The baker doesn't need a blanket. The entire room is a cocoon of warmth. He moves with a slow, practiced rhythm. First, he sweeps the floor, the soft whisk of his broom on the stone, a soothing, repetitive sound. He gathers the leftover flour, brushing it into a wooden bin. Nothing is wasted. He then turns to a large wooden trough where the starter for tomorrow's bread rests. It's a living thing, this bubbly mixture of flour and water, passed down through generations. He feeds it a little more flour and water, stirring it gently with a large wooden paddle. The slow, circular motion is mesmerizing, a quiet ritual performed under the watchful eye of the moon. After tending to the starter, he begins to prepare the first dough for the morning. He measures out flour from a heavy sack, the white powder puffing into the air like a soft cloud. He adds water from a clay jug, salt, and a scoop of the precious starter. He begins to knead, his strong hands working the dough on a massive, flour-dusted wooden table. It's a physical, rhythmic process. Push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn. The dough slowly transforms from a shaggy, sticky mass into a smooth, elastic ball. The only sounds are the soft thud of the dough against the wood and his own steady breathing. The warmth from the oven, the comforting scent of bread to be, the repetitive motion, it's a powerful meditation. He is not just making food, he is weaving the fabric of the village's morning. Once the dough is ready, he covers it with a damp linen cloth and places it in a warm corner near the oven to rise. His work, for now, is done. He sits on a small wooden stool, the radiant heat of the oven warming his back. He looks out the small window at the sleeping village, a quiet guardian watching over its dreams. In the peaceful warmth of his bakery, surrounded by the promise of tomorrow's bread, the baker closes his eyes, letting the gentle heat and the quiet of the night carry him into a well-deserved sleep. Here, on a windswept cliff overlooking the sea, stands a stone watchtower. Inside, a lone watchman keeps vigil. His room is small and circular, with narrow windows looking out over the dark, churning water. A single candle flickers on a small table, its flame dancing in the draughts that whistle through the stone. The dominant sound here is the sea. It's a constant, powerful presence, the deep, resonant boom of waves crashing against the cliffs below, the hiss of water receding over pebbles, the mournful cry of the wind as it sweeps around the tower. To an outsider, it might seem lonely or even frightening, but to the watchman, it is a familiar symphony. He has learned to read the sea's moods by its sounds alone. He knows the difference between the roar of a coming storm and the gentle sigh of a calm tide. His task is simple: to watch, to look for the distant lights of ships, friendly or otherwise. But tonight, the sea is empty. There is only the vast expanse of black water meeting a sky filled with a spray of impossibly bright stars. He sits on a worn wooden chair, wrapped in a thick, oiled wool cloak to keep out the damp sea air. The stone walls around him are cold to the touch, but he has a small brazier of coals glowing in the corner, casting a warm orange light and keeping the worst of the chill at bay. He passes the time with small, quiet tasks. He sharpens a small knife on a whetstone, the rhythmic scrape of steel on stone, a counterpoint to the ocean's roar. He carves a small piece of driftwood he found on the beach earlier, his hands slowly coaxing the shape of a seabird from the wood. These repetitive, focused actions keep his mind calm and his senses sharp. Every so often, he stands and walks to one of the narrow windows, peering out into the darkness. He holds a simple spyglass, its brass cool against his hand. He scans the horizon slowly, methodically. He sees the moonlight glinting on the crest of a wave, the silhouette of a distant rock formation, the faint glow of the moon through a break in the clouds. There is a deep, profound peace in this solitude. It's a connection to something vast and ancient. He is a tiny, warm speck of humanity, a steadfast observer in the face of the immense power of nature. As the night wears on, his eyelids grow heavy. He knows he must not sleep deeply, but he can allow himself to rest. He leans his chair back against the curved stone wall, pulling his cloak tighter. The fire in the brazier dies down to a soft, red glow. The candle sputters. He closes his eyes, but he is still listening. The rhythmic crash and retreat of the waves becomes a lullaby, a powerful, ageless heartbeat rocking him into a light, watchful slumber. His dreams are filled with the scent of salt and the endless, soothing song of the sea. And now, as our journey for tonight comes to an end, Bring your awareness back to your own space. Feel the weight of your own blankets, the softness of your pillow. Like the soldier, the baker, and the watchman, you have found your own sanctuary for the night. Allow the quiet and the dark to be a comforting cloak around you. Let the gentle rhythm of your own breathing guide you into a deep and peaceful sleep. Good night. Imagine this with me for a moment. You're lying down, completely at ease, on a vast, open field. The air is crisp, carrying the first real bite of winter. Beneath you, the earth isn't soft and yielding. It's firm, hardened by a deep and penetrating frost. It holds a chill that seems to emanate from the very core of the world. You can feel this profound cold seeping up, a stark contrast to the warmth of your own body. It's a powerful, grounding sensation. The world around you is quiet, hushed by the coming cold. The sky above is a canvas of pale blue, vast and endless. There's no distraction, no noise, just the feeling of the frozen ground beneath you and the immense sky above. You feel small, but in a comforting way, like a single, quiet note in a grand, silent symphony. As you lie there, you might think about how ancient people, our ancestors, experienced this very same moment. How did they find warmth and comfort when the world turned to ice? They didn't have our modern conveniences, our heated homes and thermal jackets. They had something more fundamental, something born from the land itself, straw and hay. It sounds simple, almost rustic, doesn't it? But within those humble, dried stalks of grass and grain lay the secret to survival, to comfort, to life itself. They understood the power of air. They knew that the best way to fight the cold wasn't just with thick, dense materials, but with trapped pockets of air that could hold their bodies' precious heat. And what is a pile of straw, if not a million tiny, trapped pockets of air? They would gather it in great armfuls, the golden stalks rustling with a dry, papery sound. They'd weave it, bind it, and shape it. A thick cloak made of woven straw might seem strange to us now, but imagine wrapping it around your shoulders. It wouldn't be soft like wool, but it would be a formidable barrier against the biting wind. The intricate weaving would create a dense yet lightweight layer, and each hollow stem, each space between the stalks, would become a tiny furnace, holding your warmth close to you. You'd feel the cold wind whip around you, but it wouldn't touch your skin. You'd be encased in a golden shell of your own making, a portable pocket of warmth taken directly from the summer fields. But they didn't stop at cloaks. They were ingenious. They would stuff their boots with handfuls of soft hay. As you walk, the hay compresses and then springs back, creating a cushioned, insulated sole that keeps the frozen ground from stealing the heat from your feet. Every step would be a soft, quiet reassurance against the hard earth. Your toes would stay warm, nimble, and alive, even as you walked across a landscape rimed with frost. They would craft mittens from woven grass, their fingers protected, able to work, to gather wood, to prepare food. They created a personal ecosystem of warmth, using the gifts of the harvest to endure the trials of winter. Think of their homes. The walls, perhaps made of wattle and daub, would be further insulated with packed straw. The floors, cold stone or packed earth, would be covered in a deep, thick layer of hay. At night, the entire family would burrow into these deep piles of straw, sharing their collective body heat. It wasn't just a bed, it was a communal nest. Imagine the feeling of sinking into that fragrant, rustling mound, the scent of dried grass and earth filling your senses. It's a smell of sunshine, of summer, of life stored away for the cold months. In the darkness, surrounded by your loved ones, you wouldn't just be warm, you would feel safe, connected, part of a whole. And it wasn't just for sleeping. During the day, children would play in the hay, their laughter muffled by the soft piles. Elders would sit on straw-stuffed cushions, telling stories, their voices a low murmur against the whistle of the wind outside. The straw and hay were woven into the fabric of their daily existence, a constant, comforting presence. It was a shield, a blanket, a bed, and a playground, all in one. It was a tangible link to the sun, a reminder that even in the deepest, darkest part of winter, the warmth of summer was not truly gone, but merely sleeping, stored within the golden stalks. Let's return to that field. You're still there, on the frozen ground. But now, you don't just feel the cold, you understand it differently. You can feel the quiet strength of the earth beneath you. You can appreciate the stillness, and you can imagine that shield of straw, that clever insulation. You can almost feel the phantom warmth of a woven cloak around your shoulders. This wasn't a battle against winter, a frantic fight for survival. For them, it was a dance, a rhythm. It was a peaceful acceptance of the season's turn. They knew winter was not an enemy, but a time for rest, for reflection, for coming together. Their shields weren't for conflict, they were for peace. They were for preserving life, for nurturing warmth in a cold world. A traveler wouldn't just carry food and water in their pack. They'd carry a roll of woven straw matting, a portable bed that could be unrolled anywhere, providing a layer of insulation from the frozen ground, ensuring a night of restful, restorative sleep under the stars. This way of life fostered a deep, quiet resilience. It wasn't about conquering nature, but about understanding its patterns and finding your place within them. There is a profound peace in that. A peace that comes from knowing you have what you need, that you can rely on your own ingenuity and the bounty of the earth. A peace that comes from accepting the world as it is, in all its cold, harsh, beautiful glory. It's a kind of focused storytelling, where every object, every action, tells a story of connection, of resourcefulness, of life. The story wasn't written in books, it was lived. It was woven into the very straw that kept them warm. As we sit here now in our warm rooms, it's easy to forget that connection. We've outsourced our warmth to machines and technology, but the memory of that ancient wisdom still lingers. It's in the smell of a freshly mown field in late summer. It's in the comforting weight of a heavy blanket on a cold night. It's in the quiet satisfaction of making something with your own hands. We can still tap into that peaceful acceptance, that focused presence. We can still learn from the quiet story told by a single stalk of straw, the story of how to find warmth, not by fighting the cold, but by embracing the quiet, insulating spaces in between. The warmth of a sun-drenched field, captured and held for a winter's night. The warmth of shared stories in a quiet room. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you enjoyed this journey, please consider liking and subscribing for more quiet reflections. Be well and stay warm. The fire crackles softly, a tiny island of warmth in the vast, cool darkness of the night. Each flicker sends dancing shadows across the faces gathered around, painting them in hues of orange and gold. It's a small fire, deliberately kept so, a pocket of defiance against the encroaching chill. The logs, carefully chosen and stacked, surrender themselves to the flames with a gentle hiss and pop, releasing the stored energy of a sun-drenched summer long past. You can feel the heat on your cheeks, a welcome contrast to the crisp air at your back. It's a primal comfort, this living light, something deep within our bones, recognizes and trusts. The flames are mesmerizing, a constant, shifting dance that captures the eye and stills the mind. The warmth it provides is modest, a localized embrace that does unpush back the night so much as it creates a sanctuary within it. But step just a few feet away, and the cold reclaims its territory. It's a warmth that encourages you to draw near, to huddle together, sharing not just the physical heat, but also a sense of shared space and security. The night air, heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth, feels different near the fire. The smoke, thin and wispy, carries the woody aroma upwards, a fragrant offering to the silent, watching trees that surround this small clearing. This limited warmth makes it all the more precious, a gift to be savored. Under the vast, star-dusted canopy of the night sky, the fire fosters a unique kind of companionship. Conversations start in low tones, almost whispers, as if not to disturb the profound quiet of the wilderness. There are no grand pronouncements here, no loud laughter that shatters the peace. Instead, stories unfold gently, shared memories are revisited with a quiet reverence, and thoughts that might get lost in the noise of the day find their voice in the calm. The fire seems to listen, its crackling a soft percussion to the rhythm of human speech. It's a space where silence is comfortable, where pauses are filled not with awkwardness, but with a shared appreciation for the moment. Looking across the flames at a friend's face, illuminated and softened by the light, you see them in a different way. The usual masks we wear fall away, and a more honest, open connection takes their place. This is the magic of the campfire. It's more than just a source of light and heat. It's a beacon for the soul. In its gentle glow, morale is kindled just as surely as the wood. Worries seem to shrink, cast into the shadows at the edge of the light. The rhythmic pulse of the flames has a calming, almost hypnotic effect, slowing your breathing and easing the tension from your shoulders. It's a form of meditation, watching the colors shift from deep red at the core to bright yellow and orange at the tips. The simple act of tending to the fire, of adding a new log at just the right moment, provides a sense of purpose and control in a world that can often feel chaotic. It connects us to generations of ancestors who sat around fires just like this one, sharing stories, seeking warmth, and finding comfort in the simple, powerful presence of the flame. As the night deepens, the world shrinks to the circumference of the firelight. The darkness beyond is not menacing, but a soft, velvety backdrop for this intimate scene. The stars, unobscured by city lights, appear impossibly bright and numerous. You can trace the constellations, their ancient patterns, a map of the cosmos spread out above you. The quiet is punctuated only by the crackle of the fire and the occasional rustle of a nocturnal creature in the undergrowth. It's a time for introspection, for letting the mind wander through memories and dreams. The flickering light seems to illuminate not just the clearing, but also the quiet corners of your own heart. In this tranquil atmosphere, you feel a profound sense of peace and belonging, a feeling of being exactly where you are meant to be. The fire begins to wane, the logs transforming into a bed of glowing, pulsating embers. The intense flames have given way to a deep, radiating heat. It's a different kind of warmth now, more subtle and enduring. The conversation has quieted down, replaced by a companionable silence. Each person is lost in their own thoughts, yet still connected by the shared experience. It's like watching the slow heartbeat of the night. This final stage of the fire is perhaps the most peaceful. The spectacle is over, leaving behind a pure and simple essence of warmth and light. Looking into the glowing heart of the embers, you feel a sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the warmth, for the light, for the companionship, and for the profound peace of the natural world. It's a simple pleasure, sitting by a dying fire under a sky full of stars. But it's one of the most deeply satisfying experiences life has to offer. It reminds us of our connection to the earth, to each other, and to the long, unbroken chain of humanity that came before us. The night is at its darkest and quietest now, and the small glow of the embers feels like a secret held close, a promise of the dawn that will eventually come. It's a reminder that even in the deepest darkness, there is always a source of light and warmth, however small. As the last embers fade to gray, a different kind of light begins to appear on the eastern horizon. A faint, pearlescent glow signals the approach of dawn. The air grows colder for a moment, the final exhalation of the night before the sun's warmth returns. The stars begin to fade, their celestial performance drawing to a close. A new day is beginning, and the memory of the fire, its warmth and its gentle light, will stay with you long after its last wisp of smoke has vanished into the morning air. It's a memory that warms you from the inside out, a reminder of the simple, powerful magic that can be found in a small, guarded campfire under the vast, quiet sky. Thanks for sharing this moment with me. I hope you'll join me again soon. Until next time, take care. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to be truly, deeply satisfied by a meal? Not just full, but grounded, comforted, and ready for whatever comes next. I'm not talking about a fancy, multi-course dinner. I'm talking about something much simpler, much more elemental. Something that speaks to a primal part of us. Imagine a cold, biting wind howling outside. On top of it, a generous slab of sharp-aged cheese and a few pieces of salty, cured meat. Maybe a smear of rich, flavorful fat. This isn't just a snack. It's a fortress against the cold. It's the kind of meal that has sustained people for centuries through the harshest conditions. Think of soldiers on a long winter march, or shepherds watching their flocks on a desolate hillside. What did they eat to keep the chill from seeping into their bones? It was this trinity of bread, cheese, and preserved meat. Each bite is a transfer of energy, a promise of warmth. The complex carbohydrates in the bread provide a slow, steady release of fuel. The fat and protein from the cheese and meat deliver a powerful, concentrated punch of calories that your body burns to generate heat. This is more than just nutrition. It's a form of resilience you can eat. The salt in the cured meat helps your body retain water, crucial for endurance. The fat provides a long-lasting energy source that a sugary snack could never match. There's a profound honesty in a meal like this. It doesn't pretend to be anything it's not. It's heavy, yes, it's dense, but it's also deeply satisfying and incredibly effective. This idea of simple, powerful food got me thinking about the history of sustenance and survival. For most of human history, food wasn't about intricate recipes or exotic ingredients. It was about one thing: energy. How can we get the most fuel from our environment with the least amount of effort? And how can we make it last? Drying, salting, curing, and fermenting weren't just culinary techniques. They were survival technologies. Whether you call it jerky, biltong, or charqui, the principle is the same. By removing moisture, you halt the growth of bacteria that cause spoilage. A fresh piece of meat might last a few days, but once dried, it can last for months, even years. It becomes a lightweight, portable, protein-packed source of energy that you can carry anywhere. Imagine explorers crossing vast continents or sailors on long sea voyages. Their survival depended on these preserved foods. They couldn't just stop at a grocery store. Their ship's hold or their backpack was their pantry, and it had to be stocked with food that wouldn't rot. The same goes for cheese. At its core, cheese is simply a clever way to preserve milk. Fresh milk is incredibly nutritious, but it spoils quickly. By turning it into cheese, our ancestors created a food that not only lasted much longer, but also concentrated the milk's nutrients. The process of cheese making removes most of the water and adds salt, creating an environment where milk's precious fats and proteins are preserved. A hard-aged cheese, like Parmesan or cheddar, is a time capsule of nutrition, a block of preserved energy that can be stored and eaten when fresh food is scarce. And then there's bread, the staff of life, the most basic, fundamental food for so many cultures. But not all bread is created equal. The light, airy loaves we often see today are a modern luxury. For centuries, the most common breads were dense, heavy, and made from whole grains. Think of pumpernickel or a rustic sourdough. These breads were designed for sustenance. They were packed with fiber and nutrients, providing a slow-burning fuel that could sustain a farmer through a long day in the fields. And when that bread went stale, it wasn't thrown away. It was used to thicken soups, made into puddings, or simply soaked in water or wine to make it edible again. Nothing was wasted. This trio-dried meat, hard cheese, and dense bread formed the backbone of many diets. It was the original MRE, the meal ready to eat, for soldiers, travelers, and laborers. It's a combination that works on a fundamental biological level. The carbohydrates for immediate energy, the protein for muscle repair, and the fat for long-term fuel and warmth. It's a perfectly balanced survival kit. But this is about more than just the science of nutrition. There's a psychological comfort to these foods. They are honest and unassuming. They connect us to a long line of people who came before us, who faced challenges we can only imagine. When you eat a piece of dark rye bread with some aged cheese and salami, you are tasting history. You are partaking in a tradition of survival and resilience that is thousands of years old. In our modern world, we are often disconnected from our food. We buy it in plastic packages with little thought to where it came from or how it was made. We are obsessed with new trends, with superfoods and complex diets. But sometimes, the greatest wisdom lies in simplicity. Sometimes, the most nourishing thing we can do is return to the basics. Let's explore that idea a bit further. Think about the concept of terroir in wine, the idea that the land, the soil, the climate, all impart a unique character to the grapes. The same is true for these simple foods. The cheese from a cow that grazed on alpine meadows will taste different from the cheese of a goat that foraged on Mediterranean scrub. The cured ham from a pig that ate acorns in a Spanish forest has a flavor profile that can't be replicated anywhere else. These foods tell a story of a place. They are a direct link to the landscape. When you eat a piece of pecorino cheese, you can almost taste the wild herbs of the Sardinian hills. When you eat a slice of Westphalian ham, you can taste the smoke from the beechwood fires used to cure it. This isn't just food, it's a form of cultural heritage. It's a library of flavors and techniques passed down through generations. This connection to place and tradition is something we are in danger of losing. As our food systems become more globalized and industrialized, we lose this diversity. Everything starts to taste the same. The unique character of local foods is ironed out in favor of uniformity and shelf stability. But there is a growing movement of people who are pushing back against this trend. People who are rediscovering the value of artisanal, traditionally made foods. They are the guardians of this culinary heritage. And by supporting them, we are not just buying a product, we are investing in a more diverse, resilient, and flavorful food future. So, how can we bring a little of this ancient wisdom into our own lives? It doesn't mean you have to give up your favorite foods. It's about appreciation. It's about taking a moment to think about the food you're eating. The next time you're at a farmer's market or a specialty food shop, take a closer look. Talk to the producers. Ask them about their process. Try something new, a piece of cheese you've never heard of, a type of cured sausage from a different country, a loaf of bread made with an unusual grain. And then, when you get home, prepare a simple meal. Don't overcomplicate it. Just a few good ingredients, thoughtfully chosen. Sit down and really taste it. Pay attention to the textures, the aromas, the flavors. Think about the journey that food has taken to get to your plate. You might be surprised at how satisfying it can be. In a world that is constantly rushing, that is obsessed with the new and the next, there is a deep and quiet pleasure in connecting with something simple, timeless, and real. It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound experiences are the ones that have been right in front of us all along. This is more than just eating. It's a form of mindfulness. It's a way of nourishing not just your body, but your soul as well. Thanks for joining me on this reflection. If you enjoyed this journey, consider subscribing for more thoughts on food, history, and culture. Imagine, for a moment, the biting cold of a winter night. Snow blankets the world in a pristine, silent white, and the air is so frigid it hurts to breathe. Now, picture a group of soldiers, far from home, huddled together for warmth. There are no grand speeches, no heroic poses, just the simple, profound act of survival. They lie side by side, shoulder to shoulder, their breath misting in the freezing air. The only heat comes from each other. In this shared space, ranks and backgrounds dissolve. There's only the man next to you, a fellow soul, braving the same unforgiving night. His warmth is your warmth, and yours is his. This isn't just about staving off the cold. It's a silent pact, a profound trust built in the harshest of conditions. You learn the rhythm of his breathing, the way he shifts in his sleep. It becomes a familiar, comforting routine in a world of chaos. This simple, human act of sharing body heat is a testament to the bonds forged in the crucible of war, a quiet story of interdependence that often goes untold. This scene, this intimate moment of shared humanity, has played out countless times throughout history. From the legions of Rome shivering in the forests of Germania to Napoleon's Grande Armée on the brutal retreat from Moscow, the struggle against the cold has been as formidable an enemy as any army. Winter campaigns have a unique way of stripping warfare down to its most elemental form. a contest of endurance. Today, we're going to explore these moments, not through the grand lens of strategy and tactics, but through the personal experiences of the soldiers who lived them. We'll delve into the quiet acts of resilience, the bonds of brotherhood. We often hear about the lack of food and supplies, but the cold was a relentless, invisible enemy. Soldiers, many without proper shoes or blankets, built crude log huts. These small, smoky shelters were packed with a dozen men. They slept on the cold, hard ground, huddled together in shifts. The men on the outside would periodically rotate to the warmer center. It was an organized system born of desperation. Imagine the conversations whispered in the dark, the shared stories of home, the quiet comfort of knowing someone else was awake, sharing your watch against the cold. The trust built in those freezing huts became the foundation of their future victories. It wasn't just about surviving the night. It was about learning to depend on one another in the most fundamental way imaginable. German soldiers, initially confident of a swift victory, found themselves woefully unprepared for the Russian winter. Their summer uniforms were useless against the sub-zero temperatures. Frostbite was rampant, claiming more casualties than many battles. This was the practice of digging a shallow pit in the snow, laying down whatever branches or cloth they could find, and packing themselves in as tightly as possible. They would lie spooned together, sometimes for days on end during blizzards. A man's life could literally depend on the body heat of the strangers next to him. They shared everything: a single cigarette passed down the line, a morsel of frozen bread, a swig of lukewarm water. In these frozen trenches, enemies weren't just the soldiers on the other side. The true enemy was the all-encompassing, life-sapping cold, and the only defense was each other. This primal need for warmth created an unspoken language of care. A soldier might wake up to find his comrade has draped his own thin blanket over him, or he might instinctively shift to shield a shivering friend from the wind. These weren't orders from a commanding officer. They were instinctive acts of humanity. They were acknowledgments that your survival is my survival. In the diaries of these men, you find less about the grand strategy of the war and more about the small, significant details. The joy of finding a dry pair of socks, the taste of hot soup after weeks of cold rations, the relief of seeing the sun after a long, dark night. These were the victories that mattered on a daily basis. It's a powerful reminder that even in the midst of unimaginable conflict, the most basic human needs, warmth, companionship, truce-remain paramount. This phenomenon isn't limited to historical conflicts. Even in modern warfare, with all its advanced technology, the elements remain a powerful force. Soldiers in mountainous regions like Afghanistan have faced similarly harsh conditions. While they have high-tech cold-weather gear, the principles of survival remain the same. On long patrols, when they have to bed down in the open, they still rely on proximity for warmth and security. A patrol will form a tight perimeter, not just for defense, but to share body heat and moral support. They check on each other, ensuring no one succumbs to hypothermia. The technology has changed, but the fundamental human dynamic has not. The bond between soldiers, forged in shared hardship, is as critical to a unit's effectiveness as their weapons or training. It's the psychological armor that protects them from the isolating and demoralizing effects of a harsh environment. So, what can we take away from these stories of soldiers in the cold? It's a lesson in resilience, but it's also a lesson in our shared humanity. It shows that in the most extreme circumstances, our instinct is to come together, to protect one another. The image of soldiers huddled for warmth is a powerful metaphor for community. It reminds us that we are stronger together, that our individual survival is often linked to the well-being of those around us. It strips away the politics and the ideologies of war and reveals a fundamental truth at our core. We are social creatures who need each other to endure. The trust required to sleep soundly next to someone in a war zone, relying on their body heat to live through the night, is perhaps one of the purest forms of trust there is. These moments, these quiet acts of survival, are the human stories behind the headlines of history. They are the stories of ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances, finding warmth not just from proximity, but from a shared sense of purpose and a silent understanding. The next time you feel the chill of a winter wind, perhaps you'll think of them, the countless souls throughout history who found warmth and hope in the simple, profound act of huddling together against the cold. It's a testament to the enduring power of human connection in the face of adversity. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the quiet heart of the soldier's experience. If these stories resonated with you, consider subscribing for more explorations into the human side of history. Stay warm and take care. Have you ever found yourself lying awake on a long, cold night, the world outside hushed and still, and your mind anything but? It's in these quiet hours, when the distractions of the day have faded, that our thoughts can grow incredibly loud. Sometimes they're gentle whispers of memory, happy moments replaying like a favorite old film. But other times, they're a chorus of worries, anxieties about tomorrow, or regrets about yesterday. The silence of the night can become an amplifier for everything we pushed aside during the busy day. It's a universal human experience, this late-night rendezvous with our own inner world. We toss and turn, seeking a comfortable position for our body, but what we're really searching for is a comfortable position for our mind. The darkness can feel like a vast, empty canvas, and our thoughts are the paint, sometimes creating a masterpiece of reflection, and other times a chaotic mess of colors we can't make sense of. In these moments, it's easy to feel alone, as if you're the only person in the world wrestling with these nocturnal thoughts. But you're not. We all face these nights. The real question isn't how to stop the thoughts from coming, but how we can learn to sit with them, to understand them, and to find peace even when our minds are racing. It's about turning this challenging, quiet time into an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. One of the most powerful tools we have to navigate these long nights is discipline, but perhaps not in the way you might think. It's not about forcing your mind to be silent or punishing yourself for being awake. It's a gentler kind of discipline, the discipline of creating a sanctuary for your mind and body. This begins long before your head hits the pillow. It's about crafting a routine that signals to your entire being that it's time to wind down. Maybe it's turning off screens an hour before bed, swapping the blue light of your phone for the soft glow of a lamp. It could be brewing a cup of chamomile tea, the warmth of the mug in your hands, a simple, grounding pleasure. The discipline is in the consistency. By repeating these small, calming actions every night, you create a powerful Pavlovian response. Your body starts to anticipate rest. Your mind learns that this sequence of events means it's safe to let go of the day's tensions. It's a quiet conversation you have with yourself, a promise of rest. This routine doesn't have to be complicated. It could be 5 minutes of gentle stretching, listening to a piece of calming music, or reading a few pages of a book, not a thriller that gets your heart racing, but something that soothes your soul. The act of choosing this routine, of committing to it, even on nights when you feel restless, is an act of self-care. It's the discipline of showing up for your own well-being, of building a bridge from the chaos of the day to the potential peace of the night. Within this gentle discipline, we can also find incredible strength through prayer or mindful reflection. For some, prayer is a conversation with a higher power, a way to hand over the burdens that feel too heavy to carry alone. It's a moment of surrender, of saying, "I've done all I can, and now I trust." It can be a formal prayer, words passed down through generations, or it can be a simple, heartfelt chat. Just speaking your worries into the quiet of the room can lessen their power, taking them out of the echo chamber of your mind and placing them into a space of faith and hope. For others who may not follow a specific religious path, this practice can take the form of mindful reflection or setting intentions. It's about turning your focus inward, not to wrestle with anxious thoughts, but to connect with your core values and desires. You might reflect on 3 things you're grateful for from the day, no matter how small. This simple act can shift your brain's focus from what's wrong to what's right. You could also set an intention for your sleep. I intend to rest deeply and wake up refreshed. This isn't about magical thinking. It's about directing your mind towards a positive outcome, whether you call it prayer, meditation, or reflection. The essence is the same. It's a dedicated time to connect with something larger than your immediate worries. It's an anchor in the stormy sea of late-night thoughts, a practice that reminds you that you are more than your anxiety and that peace is possible. But what happens on those nights when, despite your best efforts, your routine, and your reflections, your mind simply will not quiet down? This is where the profound practice of acceptance comes in. Acceptance is often misunderstood as giving up or resigning yourself to misery. But true acceptance is an active, courageous process. It's about letting go of the struggle. Instead of fighting the fact that you're awake, you simply acknowledge it. Okay, I am awake right now. Instead of getting frustrated with your racing thoughts, you observe them with gentle curiosity. Imagine you're sitting on a riverbank, and your thoughts are leaves floating by on the water. You don't have to jump into the river and grab onto every leaf. You can just watch them come and go. This one is a worry about work. This one is a memory from childhood. This one is just a random, silly thought. You see them, you acknowledge them, and you let them float on by without judgment. This practice, known as mindfulness, takes the fuel out of the fire of anxiety, the struggle, the frustration, the "I should be asleep by now" narrative. That's what creates the suffering. When you stop fighting, you create space. In that space, you might decide to get out of bed for a little while, not to start your day, but to do something quiet and calming in low light. Maybe you read a chapter of that soothing book, or listen to a guided meditation, or just sit by a window and look at the moon. It's about developing the resilience to navigate the imperfect nights with grace and self-compassion. So, tonight, as the world settles into its slumber, I invite you to try something new. If you prefer reflection, think of one small moment from your day that brought you a glimmer of joy. And if you find yourself awake in the middle of the night, try not to fight it. Acknowledge it. I am awake. Breathe. Remind yourself that this moment will pass. Remember the riverbank and the leaves. You are the observer, not the thoughts themselves. This journey of finding peace in the quiet is not a race. It's a slow, steady walk. Some nights will be easier than others, and that's perfectly fine. The goal is progress, not perfection. By embracing these gentle practices, you can learn to transform the long, cold nights into a time of profound peace, rest, and renewal. You have the tools within you to weather any storm. Thank you for spending this time with me. Be well and sleep peacefully. Have you ever woken up in the morning, limbs stiff? Not from a good night's sleep, but from a deep, penetrating cold? That kind of cold that seems to seep right into your bones. Imagine waking not to the gentle hum of central heating, but to the sight of your own breath fogging the air, to frost painting delicate, icy ferns on the inside of your window. The pale winter sunlight struggles to pierce through the glass, offering light but little warmth. Your fingers ache as you pull the covers tighter, a futile gesture against a chill that feels ancient and absolute. This isn't a scene from a forgotten history book. For so many of our ancestors, this was just another Tuesday. Think about it for a moment. For someone in the medieval period, waking up was a battle, not just against sleepiness, but against the very elements. Their world wasn't one of thermostats and insulated walls. It was a world of stone, wood, and wool, where the fire was the heart of the home. A precious, demanding creature that needed constant tending. To let it die out overnight meant waking to a cold that could be dangerous, even deadly. The first thought upon waking wouldn't be about checking emails or scrolling through social media. It would be about coaxing a flame back to life from dying embers, about the sharp, biting reality of survival. They would rise from beds stuffed with straw or feathers, their bodies already accustomed to a baseline of discomfort we can barely imagine. The floor would be freezing underfoot. Water for washing would be ice cold, a shocking jolt to the system. Every movement, putting on layers of clothing, linen, wool, maybe leather, wasn't a fashion statement. It was a suit of armor against the relentless chill. And yet, they endured. They woke up day after day in these conditions, and they built civilizations. They created art. They wrote poetry. They fell in love, all while living on the edge of what we would consider unbearable hardship. Their resilience is staggering. It's a testament to the human spirit, its ability to adapt and to find warmth, not just from a fire, but from community, from routine, from the simple, shared struggle of getting through another day. The morning light, as pale as it was, signaled the start of work, the promise of movement that would generate body heat, the communal effort in the fields or the workshops. There was a raw, immediate connection to the world around them, a connection forged in the crucible of discomfort. They knew the angle of the winter sun, the feel of the north wind, the smell of snow on the air, not as poetic concepts, but as vital information for their survival. Now, let's slowly bring our focus back to the present, back to this room, this moment. Feel the comfortable weight of your blanket. Notice the steady, even temperature of the air around you. There's no frost on your window, no biting wind seeping through cracks in the walls. The world outside can be as cold and wild as it wants, but in here, you are safe, you are warm. This incredible, almost magical comfort is the legacy of all those generations who endured the cold. We are living in the world they could only have dreamed of. Every convenience we enjoy is built upon a mountain of their hardship. The hot water that flows instantly from the tap, the light that floods a room at the flick of a switch, the soft mattress that supports our bodies without a single lump of straw. poking through. These are not small things. They are miracles of engineering and ingenuity, born from a collective human desire to be warm, to be safe, to be comfortable. We stand on the shoulders of giants who wore rough-spun wool and shivered through countless dawns so that we would have to. So tonight, as you prepare for sleep, let's take a moment to truly appreciate this gift. Let's practice a different kind of reflection. Instead of dwelling on the worries of the day or the anxieties of tomorrow, let's focus on the simple, profound sensation of warmth. Feel it in the fabric of your pajamas, in the soft embrace of your duvet. Feel the gentle heat that radiates from your own body, a small, personal furnace that modern life allows us to keep stoked with ease. Think about the journey of that warmth. The energy that powers your heating might have traveled hundreds of miles, a silent, invisible river of power. The materials in your blanket might have come from different continents, woven together by complex machines in factories far away. All of it, a vast, interconnected web of human effort, all conspiring to bring you this simple, luxurious moment of peace. Let's sink into that gratitude. Let it be a blanket of its own, wrapping around your mind just as your covers wrap around your body. Gratitude for the quiet hum of the heater, for the double-paned glass in the windows, for the soft, even light of your bedside lamp. Gratitude for the absence of hardship, for the freedom from that ancient, bone-deep cold. Acknowledging this comfort doesn't diminish the struggles of the past, it honors them. It's a way of saying thank you across the centuries, a way of recognizing the immense privilege of our modern slumber. Allow this feeling of gratitude to soften the edges of your thoughts. Let it dissolve the tensions in your muscles. Feel your shoulders relax, your jaw unclench. With every breath you take, draw in warmth and peace. And with every breath you exhale, release the day. Let go of the lists, the deadlines, the conversations. They can wait. Tonight is for rest. Tonight is for restoration. Imagine yourself as one of those ancestors, finally finding a place by the hearth after a long, cold day. The fire crackles, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The warmth soaks into your weary limbs, chasing away the chill. There's a feeling of profound relief, of safety, of having made it through. You can feel that same sense of sanctuary right now, right here in your own bed. Your home is your hearth. Your bed is your sanctuary. You have made it through the day. Now, let the world outside fade away. The sounds of the city or the countryside can become a distant, gentle hum, the soundtrack to your descent into sleep. The pale moonlight filtering through your curtains is not a harbinger of a cold dawn, but a soft, gentle nightlight, watching over you as you rest. You are secure. You are comfortable. You are enveloped in a peace that was once the greatest of luxuries. Let your breathing become slow and deep, a gentle tide, rising and falling. With each inhale, a wave of calm washes over you. With each exhale, you drift a little further from the shore of wakefulness. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to be. Your only task is to surrender to this warmth, to this comfort, to this well-earned rest. The stiffness you might feel in the morning will be from a night of peaceful stillness, not from a battle with the cold. The light that wakes you will be a gentle invitation to a new day. A day filled with possibilities our ancestors could scarcely fathom. But for now, there is only the soft darkness, the steady rhythm of your own heart, and the profound, simple, wonderful feeling of being warm and safe. Drift away now into that peaceful space. Let sleep take you. Let the night cradle you in its quiet, comfortable embrace. Sleep well.